Welcome to Module 3, Lesson 8. So, we're going to be now diving into an area that we really haven't talked too much about, and this is parentheses. And parentheses, you usually think, oh, that's going with writing, which is correct. But we also use them in math. And I really like parentheses because they really start to make things a little fun. They kind of make things, it's kind of like adding a letter to represent the unknown. It kind of just adds another layer that kind of makes things a little interesting. So, let's talk about what we're going to be doing today, and we'll do a couple examples to show you what it is and why it's important. So, we need to understand, so what we can do is I can understand the function of parentheses and apply to solve problems. So being able to understand what do the parentheses mean and how do you use them and actually use them. So just go ahead and visualize what these mean. So parentheses by themselves usually have a beginning one and an end one. These are kind of what they look like. This one starts it off, and this one closes it off. It's kind of like two sides of a sandwich or two sides of a hamburger. You have your rounded part going in. If you did this wouldn't work in this situation because this means something different. This means this is the back of one side, this is back of another, and then you usually have like something that looks similar to this. But we're not here yet. So just make sure don't have the back of two parentheses touching each other as of yet, because that's not what we're doing yet. So kind of keep that in mind. This is kind of how they look like just generically. Often you'll see them like use these, and it will kind of look like that. So just kind of keep in mind. Now these parentheses are very important. They tell you this is an important thing. This is something you must do first. This is the first thing. Period. So, giving you an example here, is that in basically most math problems, you could technically always put these around. Like if I had 2 plus 2 equals what, you technically could put parentheses around there, and you just do 2 plus 2 equals 4. But we don't show those parentheses because, well, there's nothing else going on in the problem, so it doesn't matter. So, we typically don't show those. Now, this is a situation in which you would show them. If I had an 8 here, and I had like 8 minus 2 plus 2. Now, in this one, we'd normally do a normal process of math, working left to right, and just going down the lines in that direction. So, I'm going to show you what the parentheses do here. So I'm just going to solve this like a normal problem. I'm going to solve it in a different manner. So, right here, I have 8 minus 2 plus 2. So, like reading a book, you start from the left and you work right. So the first thing I need to do is 8 minus 2. So for that, 8 minus 2, you start with 8, take away 2, you get 6. So now this is 6 plus 2, which equals 8. Which I think we can agree on. 8 minus 2 is 6, plus 2 again is back up to 8. You took away 2 and you added 2 back. Now, let me show you what would happen if I put parentheses right here. Now, the parentheses are stating, hey, guys, look at me. I'm important. You have to do me first. So when you read this, you go 8 minus, oh, there's a parentheses there. So 8 minus, I will deal with that later, but right now, I'm not going to look at it. I'm going to do what's here first. So 2 plus 2. I'm ignoring the 8 minus part right now. I'm doing the 2 plus 2. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. And just for right now, I'm going to keep those parentheses around. Now, those parentheses, remember, are stating you have to do everything in here first until there's nothing else left to do in them. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. Can I do anything else with the 4? Is there anything else going on, or is 4 going to be 4? Am I not looking at 8? Am I doing anything in there that would change 4 in some manner? Am I doing any different math? The answer is no. 4 is by itself, it's 4. So can I do anything else in this in parentheses? The answer is no. So do we need the parentheses anymore? At this point, we no longer need them, and so we erase them because we did what we needed to do first. So now I have 8 minus 4. And what's 8 minus 4? You start with 8, you take away 4, you are left with 4. Now, if you're paying attention, you notice that this is a very different answer than what the other one is. And to visualize that, I'm going to put them next to each other here. I'm going to have the 8 minus 2 plus 2, and the 8 minus, parentheses, 2 plus 2 in parentheses. Now I'm going to visually show you guys this. This one doesn't have parentheses, so I just go left to right. So this becomes 6 plus 2, which equals 8. Now over here, this is 8 minus, oh, there's parentheses, so ignore this right now and do inside the parentheses first, which is 4, which is 8 minus 4 equals 4. Isn't that interesting? Is that depending on how you add or subtract these or put them together is going to very, very, very affect how this is done. The answer is different from these. And at a quick glance, you're like, but you're using the same numbers. You're connecting them in the same way. And at the first glance, yes, it looks like that. But you're actually not. Let me show you what I mean. Right here, I have 8. How many am I taking away from 8? Just 2. Over here, I'm doing 8 minus whatever is inside of here. And when you put all those together, you're not taking 2 away, you're taking 4 away. So the second 2 is being used. Over here, it's being added back. Over here, these 2's are being put together and then being taken away. So in addition and subtraction, this is important. This is a very crucial thing in addition and subtraction. So do you think it's important in multiplication as well? The answer is yes. This is one of those things that applies to multiplication and division in kind of the same manner. And let me show you what I mean. So I will do 12 divided by, just going to make sure I'm going to be using an example from the problem set right now, because sometimes coming up with these off the top of your head, they don't quite always work. So I'm going to be using ones I know are. So I'm actually going to be using one from over here. So I'm going to do 12 divided by 2 plus 4. And then I'll have the other one over here. I'm going to put the parentheses around the 2 and the 4. Over here, I'm going to do 12 divided by 2, have those in parentheses, plus 4. So I have two problems. So they both have 12, they both have divide, they both have 2, and they both have plus 4. Now, I did talk about how you always do the parentheses first. So there's an additional step that needs to go here. I'm not going to focus too much on this, but it is something to know for the future. And might as well teach you it right now. There's this thing that is an acronym called PEMDAS. Or PEMDAS, or you can pronounce it in there. I pronounce it PEMDAS. So, the P stands for parentheses. The E stands for exponents. We're not doing exponents for a long time, so you do not need to worry about that. So, but this is like if I had like 3 squared. But we don't worry about that one, so don't worry about it. If that one looks confusing to you, well, good, because we haven't talked about it yet. You don't need to worry about it. If you do know this, awesome, but I digress. M stands for multiplication, D stands for division, A is addition, S is subtraction. So, typically, this is the form that you need to do. You start with the parentheses first, then you use exponents. We're not going to talk about that one, though, because we're not doing that. Then you do multiplication, division, and then addition and subtraction. Now, there is a misconception about these. It's that if you had a problem that had, let's say, 12 divided by 2 times 3, going off of this, you might go, well, multiplication is put down first, so you do the 2 times 3. Not entirely true on that one. So this is one aspect of this that is wrong. It's kind of multiplication and division are kind of in the same section, and addition and subtraction is in the same section. Remember the last problem we did, where we did 8 minus 2 plus 2. And right here, for this one, we just did 8 minus 2 equals 6, and then added the 2 back. But going off of just the bare bones of this, you'd want to add first, and then subtract. Keep in mind, these are like little pockets. So I'm going to put parentheses around these to kind of specify them. You always do parentheses first, but within the parentheses, you do multiplication and division first. Just whichever one is listed first. And then addition and subtraction, whichever one's first. And we'll give examples of that. Not too concerned about wording this, but just remember, parentheses go first. Then multiplication / division, then addition and subtraction. And if PIMDAS is a little tricky to remember, remember this. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. There's a lot of acronyms. Your parents might know a different one. Find the one that works for you. That's the one that works for me. Anyways, I digress. So we're going to go ahead and focus primarily on parentheses right now. So this is the one we're working with, parentheses. So, going on with this, we need to do parentheses first. And so, do I do 12 divided by 2, or do I do 2 plus 4? Well, what are those parentheses? On the 2 and the 4, so I do the 2 and 4 first. That becomes 6, and then I drop everything else that I have not done yet down. So this becomes 12 divided by 6. So I have a total of 12, and I divide that into 6 equal groups. How many are in each group? You can kind of draw that out visually, and then you find out that equals 2. Now over here, same numbers, it's still 12, negative, divide 2 and plus 4, but the parentheses aren't around the 2 and the 4 anymore, it's around the 12 and the 2. So we do 12 divided by 2 now, first, and then we'll do the 4. So 12 divided by 2 is, you can do the math on that, or what times 2 equals 12? Find that is 6 plus 4, which equals 10. Now, once again, they are the same numbers, but depending on how you put them together, you can get a different answer. Now, this lesson is primarily focusing on recognizing how and recognizing when and how to look at these things. But it'll be very important. Right now, it's important in 3rd grade, and we'll work on those a little bit. But this is very important once you get to like upper math, like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all the way through college, or in like algebra and all those bigger versions of math. And this is extremely important. Fun fact, if you have an older sibling who is in middle school, ask them if the parentheses are important, because I can almost promise you they're going to say, oh my goodness, yes, you need to be paying attention to that. Or if not, ask a parent, because they'll say the same thing. You need to pay attention to the parentheses. Now, another thing, and I'm going to use an example from your problem set as well from this, just because I want to make sure that it works. So I'm just going to do the very, very first one. And it has 16 minus 4 plus 7 equals 19. And the question states, look at this problem. You're trying to get 16 minus 4 plus 7 to equal 19 in some way. You're trying to get to 19. And so the question is, where do I need to put the parentheses around this in order to find the correct answer? So it's saying, do I need to put it around the 16 and the 4? Or do I need to put it around the 4 and the 7? And so I highly recommend doing this. And this is for a lot of things where it's either, which one is it? Try both. Experiment with both, and the one that gets 19 is your correct answer, and then use that one. So I'm going to write them both down here, and we're going to experiment and do both. So remember, my goal is to get to 19. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and try doing these two first. And once again, you'll find these strategies and you'll find ways to recognize these a little bit closer, but like right now, I'm able to look at this and be able to tell you exactly which one it is. But that's also because I've had 27 years of math experience. I've done this a lot. I have those patterns and memories in my head that works. If you can't look at these immediately, that's okay, because you haven't done this before. It takes time to work up to that. So anyways, parentheses first, I'm going to put the 7 and the 4 and the 7. 4 plus 7 is 11. Drop down to 16 minus, or C, remember, we're still trying to get it to equal 19. 16 minus 11 is 5. Does 5 equal 19? Nope, it does not. So does that one work? No. So I can make the assumption that the other one will work, but I'm still going to write it out just to try. I'm going to try 16 minus 4 plus 7. So we tried the 4 and the 7. Let's try doing the 16 and the 4 first to get to 19. So 16 minus 4, start with 16, take 4 away, goes to 15, 14, 13, 12. So 12 plus 7 equals 19. Let's see if it does. 12 plus 7, count up, it will equal 19. So does 19 equal 19? If that becomes that, and they're the same thing, then the answer is correct. So you come back up here and put your parentheses around the 16 minus 4. Now, once again, parentheses are very important, And the biggest thing, when it's asking you which one's going to be the one that works, biggest thing I can ask you to do, try both. Experiment with both. Even if you find the first one first, and you're like, oh, this one worked, still try the other one just to make sure. Because if the other one doesn't work, then you're like, okay, I was right. Just might as well. It's a nice little double checking. So anyways, hopefully this was helpful. Hope you guys learned a little bit something, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.